biggest indicator that this God was created by man is the fact that this God wants to be worshipped and like gets angry when people don't worship him. Like, for example, in Jeremiah 11 through 13, where God spends 3 straight chapters throwing a hissy fit because people aren't worshiping him.
So, what relationship do you think a creation should have with its creator in a perfect world? Do you think they should just be homies? Should be like a parent kid relationship? Should actually the creation be the one to be worshipped by the creator? What do you think would actually make the most sense? I wonder what you think it is. Because if it's not worship, then you're not really thinking correctly about who God is and what we are. Because you have a gross misunderstanding of what the worship is. The worship is what he is worth, what he is deserving of, right? What you give your parents, the honor and the respect is because they're your parents. If you're a good child, right? You honor them and you respect them as your parents. You wouldn't say to your parents one day, hey, why do you have this respect kink? Why do you want to be respected and honored so much, even above me? Why do I got to think about you like that? Why don't you actually go and bow down before me and, wash my feet and do this to me? You have a misunderstanding of what the relationship is like. And then specifically with the Israelites in the Old Testament, it gets even worse because I'm just talking about a person that's like an atheist that hasn't even really made a covenant with God in a sense. But if you're an Israelite, right, from Abraham, there's been covenants after covenants after covenants that God's making with a specific group of people that says, hey, this is the deal. If I'm your God, then I'm going to protect you from all the enemies around you. So you will be in a relationship with me. We're going to be in a covenantal relationship, kind of like a marriage, right? When it says God's jealous, like, why is God getting jealous? This is so bad. No, it's not the way we use jealous today, right? There's a bank and there's a bank. One holds water and one holds money. You have to understand the context and the way that words are spoken at different points in times because it doesn't always mean the same thing. Because if you're cheating on your wife and you made a covenant with her, you told her that you're going to love and, for goodness, sickness, health, and everything, and then you break that, and then your wife is angry with you, would you look at your wife and say, what are you angry about? And then she's like sending you 3 long paragraphs. And you're like, why is she sending me these text messages about, how I broke the covenant and how I'm playing the harlot? Why does she care so much? Maybe it's because we made a contract together. We made a vow to each other that we're going to be faithful to one another. And God is always faithful, but we are not. So every time the Israelites would fall out of the covenant with God, God would then allow the enemies to come in, withdraw his protection, because now the Israelites would worship Baal, the other gods of the surrounding nations around them. Right? When they would get money and wealth and fame and whatever they wanted, they would forget that it was God that brought them out of Egypt, that God brought them into this land, that it's not because of how smart and good and amazing the Jews are. It's because of how much God blessed them and loved Abraham to bless them. But as soon as they forgot, God moved his hands. The Assyrians came in, the Babylonians came in, they went into slavery again, over and over again, got pillaged, got smacked up, and then they would come back to themselves and be humble and say, God, bring us back. And then the Israelites would put God back at the top of their pyramid, back at the top of their hierarchy of concerns, of loves, of worries. That's why in the New Testament it says you can't love mother and father more than me. You can't love your children more. You can't love your own life more than me. I have to be at the top of everything, and then everything will fall into place because that's the order of things.